Quick update on my car. It's been a long time since I've done anything with. Just been so busy, haven't done much. Finally this last month I've actually taken on a lot of stuff to get it ready so I can possibly do some drag racing this year, or summer I should say. Notably changed out the turbo today. Here's the old 70 mil that came with the on3 kit back in 2010. Still perfect shape, nothing wrong with it. I tore it down, actually pulled the shaft out. No real play of dimension, just wanted to change it. The old exhaust housing was a 0.68 AR, which is pretty restrictive for a 347 that had decent flow before. But now it has excellent flow with the AFR heads I've added to it and a different cam. I got rid of the E-cam. This spooled really fast, but it also choked out at about 5,000 and the engine couldn't make any more power. It just stacked up, made crazy torque. Just couldn't breathe and make any more power after 5. So I put the on3 7876 in. It has a 0.96 AR turbine housing, and where this had a I think it was a 6.5 extruder, or a 6.5 millimeter extruder, this one is a 0.76 extruder. I believe that's correct. Close, at least, on those specs. So it should have a lot more room to breathe and actually make some upper RPM horsepower with that cam and setup. A little better finish on it too. I just fired it up. It's making all kinds of the smoke with all the running oil burning off of it and stuff. So had to push the alternator farther that way, and need to get another belt. It's too loose, but that's as tight as I can go that direction with it, so I'll have to get a new fitment that way. Other things I've done, got the MSD 6AL2 running, has a 2-step in it. Made some electrical mods. Let me show you here. Let's see if it's actually got the keys. I don't think I actually put them away. There we are. It's on my lift right now. I need to cage this thing. It's actually getting to that speed with the 6-speed that gonna need to put a cage in it pretty quick. So I've got a battery box, put that in, and a disconnect on it. Also put water meth AEM kit in over there. It's all plumbed. It has not been tied in. I have to weld the stainless bungs into the what do you call it? Right by the throttle body. Intake piping. Something that's pretty cool that I built here is well, a couple other things. I scavenged that tack off of another Mustang that I bought and ended up reselling. It's a $300 tack or thereabouts. But anyway, I built the switch panel out of aluminum. It's got a couple missile switch rockers on it and one momentary switch, a couple latching switches. Let me explain what they do. It's pretty cool. So most of them run to relays and do different various things, but LED lit. So tack, there's obviously my boost, there's my wideband, fuel pressure, and then this is just a piece of crap, it's another AFR. I use this one up here, but this is just a cheap one that was in the car when I got it and I haven't taken it out. Voltmeter, water temp, but this is my cooling fan. Has a LED right there. You can hear the cooling fan kick on. And then this one here, standalone, the way I've wired it all up. This is, you'll see a little LED I've put in, and I put a resistor, a little blue LED right there. That by itself is my brake lockout for when I'm in a burnout box and I always want to do a burnout. But in conjunction with this is a launch control system. So I flip that on, notice no light there, but as soon as I step on the clutch, and then I just momentary hit that, then it locks it. And then you'll notice the light came on here. So now the launch circuit's activated. What's actually happened is it's turned on the two-step on the MSD box. So now the two-step is activated. I can floor it, and the two-step will activate, and it'll actually retard the timing, which will allow me to build boost from the line, which you don't want to do very long. But for a couple seconds, I'll be on a two-step building boost off the line. And then what deactivates this, also what's going on is the line lock is actually locked as well, so the front brakes are locked. And what deactivates this whole circuit is the clutch. So as soon as I let off the clutch, the front brakes disengage and the two-step disengages. So the car theoretically will launch very hard, hopefully as long as the tires don't break loose. So when I let off the clutch, boom, everything drops. Line lock disengages, two-step disengages, cars going down the track. So that's that. But anyway, just this by itself is just a line lock for when you're in your burnout. But anyway, and then this one over here is, I have to mount this here still. This is water meth for the AEM here, but this is just the arming switch, as you can tell, for the AEM. When I turn that on, the AEM comes on, and this goes through a check with the logo red because it's detecting there's no fluid in the reservoir. That's the arm switch for the AEM water methanol. And then these two are actually latching. Instead of this is a momentary button here, but these are latching where they can actually maintain a 12-volt pulse. And these are only like 2 amp rated switches, so these will have to go to a relay to run anything large, but they're just extra switches I put in there for anything you want to run cool in the future. But I really like the way it came out, just the way it looks. I like to build everything for cheap. I bought these switches for a few bucks each online and made this panel out, soldered in the LED, built a harness with a disconnect in the back, made a 5-volt source to run these LEDs off of a USB cord, because these are only 5-volt rated, and a USB will drive 5 volts. So that was actually a really cool little project, electrical project. These are 12 volts, so 12 volt doesn't bother these at all. That's a 12 volt source there. Just pulls off the circuit that it drives. This cooling fan is a manual cooling fan, but I also have a trigger off of my Mega Squirt that has an output from the standalone engine management that can send a trigger to another relay that can also activate the cooling fan. So that's just a manual override, but I also have, so when it hits 185 degrees, that the Mega Squirts in the glove box can send a signal and turn on the cooling fan by itself. So there's just a manual override is all that is. But anyway, another cool thing, this T56, as anybody who has a T56 knows, comes with a reverse lockout, because reverse on a T56, unlike a T5, is up and to the right, and you don't want to grab it going into fifth, and so they put a heavy-duty lockout solenoid that has to be energized with 12 volts to engage it. I actually carefully machined through the ball and put a tiny switch. The switch is flush. You actually can't touch it. When I'm like that, I can't depress it. But through the wiring itself, you actually shift it up. When I put the boot on, you won't see it, but down here, it goes through the ball, and this is drilled very carefully. And down and through here, there's wires that come out. It's pretty dark to see. Wires go down. They go into a relay that run for the solenoid. You can actually depress it. You hear that? So you have to purposely push down, and that opens the gate to be able to go into reverse. Very easy to do, but it intentionally keeps me from going into reverse. A lot of people just wire it to their brake, but I don't want to be running the solenoid every time I hit the brake, and I used to do that, and I'm just not a fan of it. So I put it there. I think it's a little trick. Put it right in the middle, and you can see I drilled a tiny hole. This is a polished aluminum ball, whatever you want to call it, Tremec ball, and it took a little bit of time to get it in there and make it all work. But I just enjoy doing little electronic projects like this, and this cost virtually nothing to make. It was just a lot of soldering and wiring and schematics to make it work right. But I think it looks cool in the car. I don't know, what do you guys think? Little control panel, no radio anymore, but I never listen to the radio and you can't hear it anyway. But anyway, so I've got to adjust and re-weld the exhaust downpipe under the car, as the new turbo housing is just slightly thicker, about that much thicker, and so it pushes the whole exhaust back. So I got to section out a tiny bit of piping to make it all fit together just right, and then I can make it work. But other than that, this car is there. I'll fire it up just so you can see it. Let's make it smoke. But here we go. I'll run fuel pressure up. Run fuel pressure up. Should come up around wherever it is. We're just over 20 psi.